on mute. Can you guys hear me now? It should be able to hear me. Sorry about that, everyone. Microphone issues. We should be up and rolling. Let's see. Waiting for the audio test and the feedback to come through. There we go. We're up and we're running. Hey, I appreciate you. It's been a while. I appreciate you coming in, checking us out. I always appreciate you coming by. For those you who have not been here before, kind of give you a quick overview of who I am, but also run you through some of the topics that we're talking about today. It's going to be primarily focused on Apple Vision Pro. I have yet to do a conversation on this because I've been so engrossed with clients and projects and different things that are popping up related to this exact topic. So with that, let's do a quick rundown. This is Synth Reality Podcast. I'm Rob Petrosino. I am real for now. My role is to make you feel more comfortable in emerging technology so that you can go advocate it to yourself, to others around you, and to the organizations, and not be something that you are afraid of. What I'm really excited to share today is a little bit about spatial computing, which we've talked about a lot. If you haven't seen any of the spatial computing stuff, great, understand. We're going to talk about it. We're going to give a quick overview of what spatial computing is. It is pretty cool stuff. Then we're going to dive right into Apple Vision Pro, what that means for us in a bunch of different industries, and we're going to talk specifically about how retail is going to be impacted and how tourism is going to be impacted. And I got a couple quick little examples to show you guys. So hang in there. We're going to get through this. We're going to try to get done in about 15 minutes today. Real short, real brief, but I appreciate you stopping by. But with that, let's head on over to the screen share. So if you've never been here before, you have no idea what this is, that's fantastic. I'm appreciative of you popping in anyway. I'm just in a couple things real quick so you guys can see me a little bit better. Spatial computing, okay? Spatial computing is very, very straightforward, very, very easy to think about when you look at it from 100,000 foot view. Joe, Brian in the chat, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys letting me know that my audio is working good. I always appreciate that. Spatial computing, big spectrum. On one side of the spectrum, you have augmented reality. On the other side of the spectrum, you have virtual reality. Okay, so augmented reality, I'm overlaying information into the real world around me. Virtual reality, I am putting the real world behind me and I'm completely immersed in a new space. Okay, that is really the big difference between augmented virtual reality. The ability to see the real world, and it's a sliding scale, right? It's not one camp versus the other, but a sliding scale somewhere in between. The supporting technology to that is digital twins. Digital twins is a replication of something from the real world, like a couch or chair, etc. Couch, chair, person, whole building, a city, and being able to replicate that in a virtual space. And then there's a ton of AI and machine learning, from computer vision all the way through large language models and that type of work. So that's a quick breakdown of what spatial computing is. Spatial computing, extended reality is also inclusive of AR, VR, MR. Okay, mixed reality is kind of that go-between point. It just depends on how you want to cut it up. But really, when you think about it from the top line perspective, spatial computing is this umbrella. That's why Apple uses spatial computing as a messaging tool, because they've had spatial computing on their iPhones, but they also have had them on now their headsets and a variety of other tools that are coming in. So as we think about this and what this means for the long run here, it's that spatial computing is going to be the umbrella term. They don't want to get bogged down into the metaverse stuff that Meta was talking about because of that branded term, and they didn't want to go into the virtual reality space, which seems to be to a degree occupied by everyone from Pico to Meta to HTC, Vive, Vario, etc. There's a lot that are in that space as well. So with that, let's transition over and talk about the Apple Vision Pro. So the Apple Vision Pro came out. We're going to look live on the website. We're not going to go anywhere crazy, but we want to talk about what the era of spatial computing is, hence why we started this podcast off with what is spatial computing. Now, there's a couple key features that we're going to talk about specifically related to controls, eye gaze, hand capture, and that type of work as well. What we're going to break out here first is the design. Let's just talk about the headset design. Really fantastic, super sleek, super slim, very well put together. From all reports, that front piece of glass is absolutely gorgeous and really allows for a unique experience. Now, you have this MagSafe attachment tool for charging. That is so it connects to the compute pack. The compute pack is going to be running the experience. However, the headset itself has a lot of components in it. Couple, a lot of cameras, a lot of digital sensors, surround, spatial audio, a couple different things that are going on there, including, how they have the flex band in the back. So there's a bit going on, but really calling out some major features is that front curved piece of glass, that MagSafe, that adjustable back strap that goes around the head as well. Now, let's talk about controls because it's already happening in this quick GIF that we have on screen. So what you're seeing is some really unique hand gesturing. Okay, the first one is this kind of raising or this pinch and raise from the hip or chest level to scroll up. Really cool, really great way to do this. Traditionally, what's happened in a lot of mixed reality headsets, whether it's Meta's, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's Magic Leap, your hands have to be a little bit further in front of you. Why? Well, their cameras face it forward. So that forward field of view doesn't allow this downward capturing of what the hands are doing. There is hand estimation. There's a lot of different things that can be done in that kind of machine learning, computer vision space of where hands are, where people are. But what Apple did was actually put an array of cameras underneath so you can keep your hands naturally kind of towards your chest, hip level, and have very little movements that are tracked for the hand tracking. The next one is this kind of like pinch to shrink or pinch to expand, which seems very natural, right? And I'm going to give you the example here, which is straightforward. If we zoom in on a photo, right, or a map, right, it's the same exact movement that she's making to expand or condense these screens, right? So that ingrained UI, physical gesture, is already something that's been built out. And the headset's really cool stuff when you think about how they've been doing their UI patterns and their interaction patterns, and those interaction patterns enabling this next generation of experiences. You got the same one here. You're getting this quick flip up pinch action, 2-finger pinch to pull something up, slight hand raising so that the screen moves. But let's talk quickly about the UI that's on this page. Really beautiful navigation on the left-hand side that we're seeing here. As noted by Apple in their keynote, they're going to have eye gaze. So that eye gaze actually allows you to select a specific icon and then pinch with one of your hands and it will click it directly, which is great, which is what we want as far as clean UI. We've had some big, nice icons. If you're interested in this UI pattern, Figma just announced that they have their UI patterns available from Apple, and they're going to be sharing that directly. The one thing that I will say is we don't get a lot beyond the rounded corner screens in these types of demos, and that's okay. We're appealing to 80% of the audience here. They're going to be okay with rounded screens to start. Okay, the eventual immersion into 3D style content, which we have a ton of different styles of that content already seen, from Meta to Magic Leap to the Pico to Xreal, etc. It's very, very interesting. Now, the one thing that I will call out is Xreal and the new Apple headset have a very similar marketing message and visualization, which I'm okay with. I actually have a set of the Xreal glasses. They're fantastic. They were formerly called Nreal, for anyone that doesn't know. They had to rebrand due to a lawsuit, but that is pretty cool. Happy to talk about them on a different date and time. But check out this really beautiful experience of being able to have this immersive experience with an incredible size screen in front of you. This very sleek display and teleportation to a mountaintop while watching a movie. This is more of that immersive VR style where we start to lose the living room and we get this beautiful transition into a mountaintop space with a screen that's far bigger than anything that we've seen before on a headset. You've never seen anything like this. It's relatively true at this point. Okay, so here's our device. We're going to take a closer look real quick. This is pretty cool for those of you in the e-commerce space that are like, well, no one's really doing augmented reality or no one's really doing 3D product modeling. Disagree. Disagree greatly. Here's our camera and sensors. This is all we get to say, an array of advanced cameras and sensors, etc. But what we're going to see here is two different cameras here, another two cameras here. We're going to get some LiDAR sensors and detection sensors here, and then we have obviously a wider array of cameras on the outside. As we hit on before, the audio strats, spatial audio that's going to be displayed to each ear. Really nice headband toggle here that allows for crimping of that back mesh cloth area. It allows it to tighten on the head. We are going to dig into the displays real quick too. So you get a pair of micro OLEDs, more than 4K pixels. This is by all means the crowning jewel of the device, is being able to have this incredible screen with very, very low latency. The estimated latency is about 12 milliseconds. That means we've had a bunch of people put on the headset and basically whip their head as hard as they can back and forth, and they basically had no latency or no perceived latency. That's a very big difference. No latency versus perceived latency. Light seal, that one's pretty straightforward. Digital crown, that brings up the ability to have home view, but also change the level of immersion. For example, I get very sick in virtual reality. This will be one of the tools that I use quite often to convert from virtual reality to augmented reality. You have a top power button, as well as spatial photos. I want to talk about spatial photos real quick, because spatial photos are the ability to use all these cameras to create depth, sensitive video and photos. What does that mean? Well, it means that you're going to get this angle and this angle, as well as all these other camera angles, to go from this traditional flat view to a depth-based view of a photo or video where you'll have a foreground and a blurred background, much like at the portrait tool on the current iPhone. It's going to be that, but you're also going to get about, my estimation is about 30 degrees of field of view, where you can kind of 30 degrees rotate around a stationary object. So as I kind of move 30 degrees to either side, I'm going to be able to see some of the depth from that. That is spatial audio and spatial video and photo. Spatial audio obviously comes from it, and power, and then you get about 2 hours of use all day when plugged in. This little one, though, is what we want to talk about. So, testing conducted by Apple 2023, Apple Pro Vision software. Testing consistent with full battery charge while performing each of the following tests: video playback, internet browsing, spatial video capture, and FaceTime. That's a very limited use case for 2 hours of video, or 2 hours of battery life. Video playback tested in conjunction with an environment using 2D movie content purchased from Apple TV. Okay, so Apple TV is going to maybe be a requirement here unless one of the other streaming devices allowed to do it. Internet browsing uses the top 20 popular websites. So we know Reddit's going to be there. We know Google's going to be there. There's going to be a couple news outlets. FaceTime tested between 2 Apple Pro units with personas enabled. So this is not calling iPhones. This is not calling MacBooks. So this is just 2 Apple Vision Pro units, which is interesting. I'm assuming that there will be some type of external power pack dongle that gets sold at some point. And then tested conducting using Apple Vision Pro units. Battery tests are conducted using specific Apple Pro units. Actual results may vary, as obvious. Okay, so a good thing to know about, good to kind of view. AR, you can click an AR experience as well. But let's talk about a really interesting use case related to augmented reality, specifically at Fukushima. Fukushima, you may be familiar with due to the nuclear reactor issue that happened in Fukushima during the horrible natural event that happened out there. Really good to see that Fukushima is adopting technology and doing it in a way that's really interesting. So what they're doing is offering an audio-based augmented reality experience for frightening fun in Fukushima this summer. What they're doing is the Tokyo-based Nighttime Economy Association aims to lift tourism to Fukushima with an augmented reality experience that goes around different parts of Fukushima. In the past 2 years, they've had a total of about 1,700 participants. They are hoping that these augmented reality experience will drive up tourism, which is super cool, which is what you want. You want tourism to be driven up, and a great way to reach down in generations is to add augmented reality experiences to it. So if a place like Fukushima, who went through a nuclear reactor meltdown, is adapting sound augmented reality format applications, then you maybe want to look at this for your business. Specifically, when we think about spatial computing or Apple ProVision in retail. Okay, when we think about retail, product visualization is going to be a massive one. Now that I have this 30 degrees, I basically should be skipping over any additional 2D content, moving directly into 3D content because it's going to be proliferating various applications. Interactive shopping experience, the virtual store is coming back in a big way, and it's not going to be on a flat screen, which is pretty cool. I'm very, very excited for virtual stores not to be on a flat screen. People have tried to do it on Meta Quest, but Apple Vision Pro sounds like the latency will actually enable a lot more users to have an enjoyable experience. Personalized advertising, catching a customer's eye is going to be incredibly hard to do now in augmented reality, specifically for the headset and device. You're going to have very unique and novel experiences. Getting them in device alone will be rather difficult to start out, but in the long run, it'll increase. But immersive demonstrations, right? Now I can demo or show different products directly on the device in 3 dimensions, especially if the other person has an Apple Vision Pro headset. Customer engagement is going to be a great one for support. Imagine being able to remote into your Apple Vision Pro with IKEA help because you can't figure out how to put something together. I know I would. I'm not the most handy out there. Virtual fitting rooms, there's going to be a big jump in the fashion industry related to this as well. This is going to be a very, very unique experience overall, whether there's a digital twin of you or of someone else that is your rough size and shape. Trying on clothing is going to be extremely different. AR gaming merchandise. So AR gaming and gaming partnerships that we saw from everyone underneath the sun during the rise of Metaverse and the hype cycle of Metaverse. This will launch a brand new experience here related to AR brand-enabled content. Look out for the biggest producers starting to build out what that looks like. Store tours from the comfort of your home. So instead of being able to go into a virtual store, you are actually enabling yourself to go into a real physical store without leaving your home. Big difference between the two. Virtual store being a digital store and this being a tour of a real store. Product reviews are going to be nuts. So Amazon recently released, if you haven't been on the Amazon app lately, which I hope most of you have, there's a new Explore Idea button with a ton of videos. That is going to blow up when it comes to 3D related content. And then down to learning and tutorials and training is going to be nuts as well. So there's going to be a lot of different things that kind of transition and transpire over the next 6 months while Apple gets launched and ramped up with production. I know that I'm super excited for the device. I think it's going to be really impactful. I think that everyone out there, from what I've seen, from all the media perspectives, including my own, the device is absolutely fantastic. I think that there's going to be a big launch and a big push for this. But what I'm really excited for is to see how organizations start planning now for the future, knowing that this device is coming out. And if you're burying your head in the sand and acting like I'm going to move status quo into 2024, I'd strongly suggest you don't do that. With that, though, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you all coming in. Everyone on LinkedIn, thanks for the audio checks. Everyone on Twitch, thank you. YouTube, podcast, I appreciate it. I look forward to chatting with you all very, very soon. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you on the other side.